Hi, Australian professionals of color. We're live now, and welcome to yet another live with Viniti and me on Thursday nights here in our very own group. Today, we're talking about something a little bit different from what we've been speaking about in the last few sort of live sessions that we've had. We've touched a lot about confidence, imposter syndrome, job seeking, and sort of the professional ladder, corporate Australia kind of speak. But today we're going to be talking about something slightly different, which is self-employment or startup. A lot of professionals, especially given COVID, have spoken about, how they're thinking of doing something that they really love doing or wanting to, jump into the startup space. And so today we thought the focus can sort of go in that direction a little bit for people who've just been sitting on the fence thinking about these things. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Viniti, hi, welcome. Do you want to say welcome to the group?
Of course, hi everybody who's watching us or who would watch us later today, tonight, or tomorrow, or whenever they get time. And yeah, I think we've been speaking a lot around, professional and their problems in the professional world, in their workspaces. But we do need to reflect that this group is not only for that, but also for people who are thinking of a career change, wanting to do something of their own as a full-time gig or as something they want to do on the side. A lot of us are able to sustain it, and a lot of us are not able to sustain, those balancing the wheel kind of a thing. And Sangeeta has done it, and she's done it multiple times. I have done it. But I really wanted to know, Sangeeta, from your perspective and your experience, because you deal with a lot of these people who are sitting on the fence, or I suppose have taken that leap of faith. What did you feel in your experience was the biggest challenge that somebody who's got this stream of income coming in, and it's a very comfort zone that they are in, but they have this niggling feeling, they need to do something. They're there to do something more. There is more to life. There's more to career, but they're not able to take that step, or not able to even start to think what it is. So in your experience, what has been the biggest challenge?
I think the biggest challenge, and you'll find this anywhere on the internet or anywhere you go, the biggest challenge people face is fear. And I think fear is not just about, fear of doing something new or unknown or different. The fear is just, it's internal, right? It's something we inflict on ourselves because yes, you're sitting in a comfort zone. Yes, things are going well. And then to sort of do something that you have never done before can seem very daunting. And at some point you question yourself and say, but what's the point? Why do I want to do it? Like, I'm earning well, it's taking care of my necessities and my needs. So it's really that fear that people have within themselves, that really stops them from wanting to switch over and do something different, or do something that they really want to do. But it's just that it's conditioning. It's mental conditioning that has happened over the last 10 years, 12 years, whatever you've been working. You're so conditioned to what you're doing today that just doing something different, which seems like a massive leap, can seem very daunting and very challenging for a lot of people.
And what do you feel is their biggest fear? Like, what if they did take that step? What is that could possibly go wrong? Is you feel is their fear?
I think the biggest fear that people have usually is, it's a lot of things about self-doubt, right? Will I be able to do it? What if I fail? What will people think about me? What will my family say? What'll happen if I'm not able to, if I invest a lot of money and I lose all of it? So I think there's a lot of these what ifs that come about in people's heads when they start thinking about doing a business or doing something of their own and getting self-employed. But a lot of times with people who are professionals who have been working in corporates, when they make the transition smoothly, the benefit really is that they come out of that fear in a slow pace. You don't have to take the leap straight away. You don't have to sort of say, okay, that's it, boom, I'm going to jump now. I'm going to leave my job. I'm going to stop my salary. I'm going to stop everything, and I'm going to go for this whole new thing. There's a method to the madness that can be applied to actually put some safety nets in place before you take that leap of faith and jump completely across that, startup chasm as such.
Right. Okay. And what would you tell people?
Your experience though? What has been your experience though? Didn't you leap of faith? Did you do it slowly, or did you just leap?
I did it slowly. I wasn't confident, and I think confidence does come by doing it. So, for me, it was always about taking those little steps to achieve what I wanted to. So for me, and my journey was a little different because I did not think that I wanted to do this. I always wanted to start a clothing business, like a product-based company, which is what I wanted to start. But I stumbled upon life coaching for my own experience, and I've spoken about this in the past as well. And I just felt that this is a very untouched stream, and it's not given its due regards in terms of how it can actually change human behavior. And of all the things and all the books that I had ever read, or I've ever seen the videos and stuff, this was something that really came home. Like, it really touched my my personal sense of being. So for me, that experience kind of pushed me to say, if it can transform somebody like me, then it can possibly bring transformations to a lot of people, because I totally believe that we are our worst critics. People don't think about you as much as you think about yourself. It's it's an unfortunate truth. People tend and when you can overcome your own critique, I think that's where you can move forward. So for me, it was about learning, because I had no background in psychology or human behavior. So for me to jump into a career which was absolutely 360-degree opposite of what I had ever done was scary, but I did it in a way where I learned it first. First I experienced it. I learned it, how to do it, and then it was all about taking a lot of pro bono clients to see, does it actually work? Just because it worked for me, that didn't guarantee that it would work for others. So going through that pro bono experience and putting yourself out there to say I'm available was enough for me to get started. It's amazing what happens when you put yourself out there. When people know that you are out there doing something like this. And I had people reach out to me, and from there, and it's a journey, as you said, it's taking those little steps, it's starting to, you self-doubt at every step. So first, when I started pro bono, and it's a funny journey, but when I started pro bono, I'm like, oh, okay. So even when the clients came and told me that they felt the change, I wasn't sure that they were telling me the truth. I thought, oh, because they've got it for free, they're probably just doing me a favor, by saying, oh yeah, Viniti, I felt good, or I got clarity, or, I feel motivated, or whatever the results for them. And then I decided to start charging, and I underquoted myself, because, you always got that fear of, is somebody going to even buy a service like this? It's not even a product, like, it's not tangible. It's just somebody coming and talking to you and asking you lots of questions. Will it even make a difference to anybody's life? That was the biggest mistake. Underquoting yourself was the biggest mistake, because people do it for free if you want to do it, but don't underquote, because your value, what you perceive of yourself, is the perception what you're putting on others. So for me, it was a journey. It was like, taking those really small little steps of self-actualizing, self-realization, gaining the confidence from the client, putting myself out there. I would just go into groups and say, oh, I'm giving a free life coaching session, and the word free works every time. It's just something that works, and you would get a lot of people to say, yes, we want to, and then they would see the difference. And I had a client who said, why the hell are you doing this for free? I want to pay you. And I'm like, okay, yeah, bring it on. So it starts like that. But I agree, the fear, a lot of people out there do feel the fear. I have not felt the fear, purely because I had a very supportive environment, from my husband to my mom to my in-laws. When they saw the change in me through that journey, they were very supportive of the fact that if it can change me, when your husband and your mother-in-laws and your mothers say that, you kind of feel that yes, it makes a difference. So I think that was very important for me, having that support and a push to say keep going at it. That made a lot of difference. But I bringing it back to you, Sangeeta, when you work with your clients, when they come to you, what is the number one thing that triggers them to actually move on the other side, or even start considering that other side? What do you feel that's missing in their current life that they want to go down this path?
I think there are different triggers for different people, right? And for some, it could be the fact that they feel very undervalued at work. Maybe they've got a bad appraisal, they're not getting the opportunities that they know they deserve. So it's not a fact of, feeling like, oh, I don't deserve it, so I'm going to try something different. It's more like they're more often than not, they're high achievers. They're people who really are high achievers, but haven't got the right sort of doors opened for them, or they've tried knocking on the corporate doors many times and they've sort of been knocked back. So, it's something triggers people to want to make the change, and it's usually one of these. And usually it's people who've been thinking about this for a while, and then some trigger comes in. Sometimes it's, with one of my clients, it was really about health. He just suddenly realized that his health was just going like really bad because he was overworking himself, and he just decided this has to stop. It has to stop. He put himself first. So it's something that triggered him to put himself first, right? And so there are many people like that. For another client of mine, it was really saying, it was somebody else in the family, seeing someone else in the family becoming super successful, starting their business, and that inspired them to then say, okay, this lady, she really wanted to do something of her own. But then, when she saw this is possible, then she said, yeah, okay, now, it's time, I want to do this too, So I think inspiration and triggers come from many different areas for people when it comes, and it's very personal as well, and starting a business should be personal. Like if people are doing business just for the sake of making more money on the side, that's a side hustle. You can go do that, you can just buy and sell things and you will make more money, right? But starting a business for the long run, it's a long game. And unless you are personally invested in it and the trigger is really personal, you will not be able to sustain the journey. So to sustain the journey, that personal trigger starts becoming really important.
Very interesting. So, and it's true, for me, as you heard, the story was very personal for me to actually start a business, and there was no fear after that when things become so personal. So I agree, the reason has to be personal, because when it's personal, there is no stopping you. I feel that's the thing, right? No matter how many failures you hit and how many roadblocks you hit, you keep going at it because it's personal. But tell me, and I see a lot of people right now doing, that buying and selling of products, and that's also a business. Obviously, it's a business model. But what I feel, it's not a scalable business model, which we were talking about, just before as well, about scalability and stuff. But I want to understand this, and people who are sitting on the fence. Usually, I've had a lot of friends who have said that I want to start a business, but they're making this good salary coming into their account, and they're very comfortable, and they don't know where to start. The question often comes, we don't even know. I mean, I want to do a business, and this was my story, right? I wanted to do business, but I did know that I wanted to do a garment business. But for me, I just I wasn't sure where to start. Yes, I want to do this. I have this vision. Tell me, how do you consolidate all your thought process around your vision, and where do you start? Where is the point you start?
Yeah, so, with a lot of people I work with, we've got a lot of models that we use and show people. And unfortunately, I can't really share my screen here to show you those. But it's really, a business needs three key things from the founder, from the person, right? Your mindset, your strategy, and execution. And I say it in that order because that is the order as well. It starts with the mindset. When you think about, okay, I want to start a business, and if you say, okay, I'm going to take a pen and paper and put a strategy together, you're starting at the wrong end of the pole. You really have to start with your mindset. And when I talk about mindset, it's really about asking yourself some questions, right? Why do I want to do this? Like I said, if it's not a personal reason, if it's a reason that is, oh, I want to become a billionaire, great reason. I'm not saying that's an invalid reason, but there has to be something deeper that connects you, because business, like I said, is a long road. And so for that long road, what is it that will keep you going? What is it that will keep you pushing? Making $1 billion, if you don't make $1 billion, do you lose anything today? Not really, right? You're still sitting in a comfortable position. You can get a job, you can go earn some money there too. So money can be earned anywhere, but it's the personal piece that cannot be got in a job, which is why people go towards business. So it's starting with that piece as to why, and setting your mindset straight is important. I talk about a concept called the sweet spot, right? It's finding your sweet spot. And it's made up of three key things. One is your stuff that you love doing, right? Like to your point, Viniti, you realize about your love for, wanting to change other people's lives with something that you've experienced. The second is expertise, which I'm sure you went on to learn life coaching and, show how and gather expertise in the area. So it's understanding what you love doing and your expertise. These are two sort of formative pillars of what you do and in your sweet spot. The third piece is, what will people pay for? The minute you said pro bono, that is fantastic. But once you do the pro bono, when people tell you, I want to pay you for this, boom, you have a business. You have something of value there. Even if it's just one person telling you that initially, right? There is something there, and then it's how you develop on that makes the difference. But initially, I think when you're thinking about starting a business, you're sitting on the fence, you don't know what to do, identify these two key things first. What is it that you absolutely love doing? And you would do even like, in your free time, in your spare time. If nobody paid you for it, you will still do it. That is what you love doing. It could be cooking, it could be, sewing, it could be going out there and mentoring people. It could be anything. But what is that one thing that you love doing? And the second thing is, what is your expertise in? So really, really understanding where your expertise lies. And there are tools for you to understand this. Like I use a lot of tools with my clients to actually help them arrive at their expertise, help you arrive at what you love doing. And then you couple that with understanding what would people pay for. And people don't pay for, like, this is an example that I use all the time, and I don't remember if I've used this before in our lives, but it's really just thinking about things that people, why would you pay for something? Just think about the last thing that you bought, right? The last most valuable thing that you bought. It could be anything. It could be a set of headphones. It could be, a pair of glasses. It could be whatever, right? You bought something that is valuable to you. Why did you buy it? You only bought it because there was a problem that you had to solve, right? You bought a pair of headphones because you needed them. You can't be speaking on the speakerphone all the time. You need a pair of headphones, so you plug that in. I'm saying headphones because I can see you wearing one, Viniti. But really, that's an example. But the thing is, you just think about the last most valuable purchase you made and why you made that purchase. You didn't make it because you had money sitting in the bank and you just thought, oh, I want to buy something today. Okay, I'll go pick something off the shelf just like that and buy it. You bought it for a reason. So that is the whole point behind why people will pay you. They will pay you if there is a reason for them to pay you. And finding that reason, the problem, the need, there are many names to it, but it's really just identifying what is it that people are willing to pay for and why, right? And sometimes it takes people 4 or 5 years. Entrepreneurs take 4 or 5 years sometimes to figure that out. It doesn't happen just at the drop of a hat. And sometimes you can just figure it out without effort. Sometimes it's just keep doing what you love doing, and you will see that there will be people who will come to you and say, I want to pay you for this. So there's many different ways of cutting the pie, and I use some different techniques to do it. But it's usually that piece. Once these three pieces fit in together, you found your sweet spot. That's where you will make money, and that's where your business will thrive.
Beautiful. You've said it absolutely correct. But, as you were talking about it, a thought came into my mind. A lot of professional of colors, right? Especially people coming from, I suppose, Southeast Asia, Indians, all these highly competitive countries. They don't choose their career because of passion and purpose, right? They choose because that's the career that would fetch them the most money from the time they graduate. So when we talk about what you love to do and what your expertise is, sometimes they don't come together. And that pushes a person back to say, I can't do this because I have spent, and it was a case for me because I had done 12, 13 years of corporate job and my expertise sat there, but I did not find my fulfillment there. I found my fulfillment in this coaching, which I had no expertise in. Like it was a totally off the game. So there are a lot of people I know who are exactly at that spot. And I've worked with a couple of my clients who have done something totally different for their entire life. But at the point of their retirement, they're like, I want to do a business. And retirement doesn't mean like you've got to be 50, but these people are, they've made enough money by the age of 40. And they're saying, now I want to do that I love doing. But guess what? I don't have an expertise in this. Now what? They get to that point. So if you could find that perfect match where you have spent 15 years and then you go and start a business on that, that's absolute a gem. But what if that's not the case? Do you get clients who who've got a bit of different background and they want to start a business like you? And I get to see a lot of people who've spent 20 years in corporate and now they've started catering business because they love cooking, and so what's your take on that and how do people go about doing something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I've worked with over 100 founders already, right? And I'm still working with more every day. And you see this all the time. Like not everybody is going to have that perfect match. But let me tell you something. When we talk about innovation, and innovation's become such a big buzzword in the industry, whether that's in corporate, in startups, wherever you see, they talk about innovation, innovation, innovation. But what is innovation? Innovation isn't, something new that's just come up from above. Innovation is really just meshing two ideas together. When you combine two ideas together, it becomes an innovation. It's really that is what innovation is all about. If you think about the light bulb, if you think about all the innovations that have been made, there are people who have just put two different ideas together. So if your expertise is different from what you love doing, put them together, put the pieces together and see, can something be made out of this, when I think of business, right, I don't take it too seriously because business is like a game. When you were kids, you used to go out there and play out there, and your friends, and sometimes you would just, mix up two different games and create a funny, silly game between your friends and you, and that, only you guys knew how to play. And those sort of things would happen. It was just organic, right? It was just something that you would do, and you wouldn't really worry about the consequences. You wouldn't worry about, okay, what if it doesn't work? Oh my God, what if this game is bad? Oh my God, what if people don't love it? Like all these inhibitions start coming in once you grow up and you start getting conditioned in society about these things. So it's really about going back to those basics of, combining things and experimenting, putting things together. If you look at even the big businesses, right? If you look at Uber Eats, for example, what they've done is taken a food delivery business and they've combined a technology piece. So they had the Uber concept of, using people who have cars and vehicles to deliver people around the city, or, deliver people from point A to point B. They combined that idea with food delivery and they got Uber Eats, right? So it's combining different ideas together. So let's say you've got expertise in IT, for 10 years, 15 years, you've been a software engineer, or maybe, a project analyst, or, you've worked in risk technology, or, something of the sorts. Pick up what you've learned there and think about what you really love doing. So let's say your what you love doing or your passion is completely different. Okay, let's say it's food, or let's say it's like cooking or something like that. Think about how you can bring those two together. Where is it that you can start, applying some of your skills from your work experience and your expertise so far, maybe you don't love your expertise, you don't love anything about it, but you've become really good at it because you've been doing it for 10 years, for 12 years. And then pick up something that you really love, and you love it because you've also been doing it for a while. You do it without being compensated for it, without being paid money for it. So you've been paid for something, you've not been paid for your passions. Bring those together. What can you build out of it? Is there an opportunity here? Is there something that you can put together? And if you go back and reflect on some of the biggest businesses that there are today, even some of the unicorns, and I don't know if people know what a unicorn is, but a unicorn is a business that is valued over $1 billion. Any startup that's valued over $1 billion. And we have a few here in Australia. Canva is a big one. Airwallex is another one. Afterpay is getting there. So, you've got a lot of these unicorn businesses that are in Australia at the moment. And these businesses started exactly like that. Nobody started being $1 billion business. They started in basements, in people's homes, in people's, in small little corners, doing things, on the side, being irritated by something and, wanting to change that. So it's all of these are small sparks that start somewhere. It's only a spark that will start a fire. But it's really that, bring your expertise from all these years. Don't lose that. Because I'm sure, Viniti, in your life coaching, it's not just the life coaching that is helping you. It's the experience of so many years that you've spent, that you understand what people go through. You've learned emotional intelligence, for example. Life coaching didn't teach you emotional intelligence. You learned it through your journey in the corporate, right? And you bring that into your passion, and you bring these things. So it's never a thing about two different streams. They're not parallel. You can find a way for them to merge. And I think that is the piece about finding your sweet spot, is finding that, that merging, where is it that you can play?
Yeah, sorry, my mic went into mute and I couldn't unmute it. No, and that's, I totally agree. Like, even in my coaching sessions, I do bring in my expertise that I have learned over the years by doing my work. And I do work with a lot of professionals purely for that reason, because I can empathize with their problems. In some form, I would have seen those problems happening, and things that we were talking about last week in our group session, where people turned up and spoke about visibility, spoke about work-life balance. These were the things I can kind of connect with them. I've been there, done that. So I agree. The expertise, it comes back. It's just the methods that you can apply in different format. Absolutely. So just being conscious of time, I think, Sangeeta, one thing I would love for you to leave those people who are watching or would be watching are sitting on the fence is, if they are feeling that confusion at this point as to, I want to start a business, but I don't know where to start. And, maybe they are sitting with an idea, but they don't know how to take that step of faith, not a leap. They don't have to leave their job to really do this. They can take the little step. What would be that one thing that you would want them to do in terms of taking that little step?
I think one of the first things that you can do is really, I talk about 5 safety nets, right, that we put in place. And because business is risky, I think it's important for people to safeguard themselves, right? So the first thing that you do is put some safety nets in place for yourself, and understand that once you've got those, it gives you a lot more freedom to, step out and come out in your hole. So I spoke about the sweet spot, and there are tools to do that. And I'm more than happy to help anyone who would want to sort of talk further about what those tools are and how they can apply it. But if I was to talk about 5 things that I would like you to think about, is don't think business is starting from zero. You start a business from 1, not from 0. And what I mean by that is your 1 is where you are today. You've already taken that first step there. You update your CV. That's your first thing. Once you update your CV, you will really see everything that you've done, and it'll all start coming together for you in terms of your expertise. So if you don't have a CV updated, number 1. But number 2 is also then to look at your networks, look at industry bodies in the industry that you're in, and also the industries that you want to be in. So you start from 1. Think about everything that you have today at your disposal to start a business. So Viniti, like you said, you went out and reached out to people and started doing pro bono sessions. That's it, right? That's your one. You started from where you are today. You didn't think, okay, I don't have anything, I don't know anybody. You went to your networks, you went to people that you know, but you also went to people you don't know. But people you know are first port of call, right? You get in there, tell people what you want to do, start telling them about yourself and what you're trying to do. So start putting those in place. Like, you may not start your business until maybe 6 months later, but start putting your networks in place, start having regular catch-ups, get in front of people. So when you start your business, it's not hard for you to go and tap their shoulder and say, hey, I've started this. Do you want to do a free session? Or, do you have somebody who value this sort of stuff? The second piece is get with the times. So don't really think about business like your parents and your grandparents did. There are many things that your parents and grandparents did that you don't do today. Think of the different things that you moved on from. For example, sex before marriage was a taboo in those ages, but today, it's open, it's available, and people do it, right? So that's the sort of thing you have to think about, is get with the times and start a business for today. Don't think about starting a shop where you will, stock a lot of items and invest like $100,000 up front, and then you will start selling. That's the old way of doing business. The new way of doing business is selling before you actually start building anything. Selling your product before you even invest any money in building the product. So you've got to start thinking about it in those terms. The third thing is fail ready. So I tell people, be fail ready. Every time you do something with business, there's a 50% chance of failure and 50% chance of success. So go in with that mindset. It's okay to fail. So fail purposefully. It's okay to fail. According to statistics, it's usually the 7th or the 8th idea that you have that will really start working. Until then, all your ideas are pretty rubbish, but you only know they're rubbish when you actually start working on them. And then you come to a point where you realize, but this is not going to work. So go ahead and do it anyway, because that will give you the experience to avoid it the second time. And then that will give you the experience to avoid it the third time. So fail purposefully, know that you're going to fail and do it anyway. The fourth thing is money matters. A lot of people run into debt, right? The biggest reason why businesses fail, 70% of the times businesses fail because people build something that other people don't want. So, I was talking about what will people pay you money for? People build things that other people don't want. They think their idea is king and they go and, build it. But it's the second highest reason why businesses fail is because they run into debt. They don't know how to manage their money. Financial literacy in the whole world, I don't know if you've seen the statistics recently, but in 2016, there was a statistic done around the financial literacy in the world by the World Bank, and financial literacy in the world is only 33%. So only 33% of people are actually financially literate, which means they know what their finances are and they know how to manage them. So if you don't know how to manage your finances, honestly, guys, get on top of that, because you don't want to run into debt. You don't want to borrow so much money that come 2 years and you're so heavily invested that you don't know what you're doing. And the last one that I will tell you is unlearn to relearn. So this is super important. And we spoke about conditioning before. So when you're in corporate, you're conditioned to be an employee. You're not conditioned to be an entrepreneur. You're conditioned to be risk averse. You're conditioned to think about your role and think about your job and deliver. Yeah. But as an entrepreneur, it's not about delivery. It's more about the mindset. It's more about taking the risks. It's more about doing things differently. So you have to unlearn some of those tactics to relearn some of this. Now, having said that, I think on the best entrepreneurs are people who've done jobs before, because you've done it. You know what being an employee is. So if you're able to make that switch into starting to change your mindset. So if there was one thing that you can start doing today to change, the dynamic for yourself, and if you're sitting on the fence to sort of change it, is to unlearn being an employee and start learning how to become an entrepreneur, because that is a huge step. You can do it while you're still in your job. You don't have to leave your job. And I have a great article, I'll share it in this group later, where you can be an entrepreneur in your job. They're called intrapreneurs. So you can still be an intrapreneur within your job and start changing your mindset to start becoming more risk friendly, start thinking about the business and things like that. So if there's one thing you can do today, is that for sure.
Ah, beautiful. Thank you so much, Sangeeta. I think, I could resonate with all of them, as I went through my journey into, I still don't call myself entrepreneur, by the way. It's just, I feel that word's too heavy to bear, if there's anything with it. It's just, but I think everything that you said is spot on, especially learning to unlearn. And what I talk about in that stage is more around learning from your failures, kind of, don't unlearn. In fact, carry on that learning and see what additionally you can do, because everybody who becomes successful has failed, and nobody talks about their failures. Everybody comes and talks about how they made it big. But to make it big, they must have failed few times. And what did you learn from each of those failures is the most important lesson you will get, than the lessons that you would get from any coaching or any mentoring or any training out there. So I think spot on. You got to start having the mindset of entrepreneur, and you got to start taking an action, however small that is. And I think this group is a good place for people who are on the fence and don't know where to start. We have done it. We are going to be bringing guests in coming weeks, so watch this space. We are announcing some really exciting stuff coming in the couple of weeks towards the end of this year. And I think thank you. That's been a good session, Sangeeta. I hope guys and girls who are watching or would be watching later on get some inspiration from this, and if they're sitting on the fence, take that step of faith towards their next big thing. That's it for me. Anything from you, Sangeeta?
No, that's it, guys. I think, if you're on the fence and you are still thinking about it and you want to have a chat, I'd be more than happy to chat to you and sort of, talk through your ideas and see, what it is and what doesn't. I work with entrepreneurs day in and day out. So more than happy to sort of work with you and look through your ideas and give you some suggestions if you like. I will share, like I said, mindset is the first thing, right? So I'll share a quick article perhaps tomorrow about the employee mindset and how you can start moving towards the entrepreneurial mindset within your job itself. Like, you don't have to start a business today, but just start changing your mindset. Those baby steps really, really help. But thanks so much for listening in. And if you want to continue having these conversations, we'd love to. Just hit us up and we'll be happy to chat more.
All right. Thank you, everybody, and have a good night.
Good night. Bye.